Have you ever sat down with a cup of coffee, looked back on your life, and thought, I've learned a thing or two along the way? Maybe it's a quiet moment when the grandkids are napping, or you're flipping through an old photo album, and those memories start flooding in, the good, the tough, and everything in between. There's something special about getting older, isn't there? It's not just the years that pile up, it's the wisdom, the stories, the little nuggets of truth we pick up that make us who we are. And if you're anything like me, you've probably realized those lessons aren't just for us to keep, they're meant to be shared. That's what this video is all about, storytelling, and the life lessons we older adults have to offer. Not just to our families or friends, but to anyone willing to listen, because believe me, there's power in what we've been through. I've always thought of life as a big, winding road. Some stretches are smooth and sunny, others are bumpy and dark, but every mile teaches you something. And now, at this stage, whether you're in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, you've got a treasure chest of experiences to draw from. So, in this video, we're going to dig into some of those lessons. Not the preachy kind, mind you, but the real, down-to-earth ones that stick with you. The ones that might just make someone else's journey a little easier, or maybe even your own, as you think back on them. We'll talk about 5 big lessons I've heard from folks like us, people who've lived long enough to know what matters. Things like letting go of what you can't control, finding joy in the small stuff, and realizing it's never too late to start something new. Ready to dive in? Let's start with the first one, because it's a lesson that hit me like a ton of bricks a few years back. You ever notice how much energy we spend worrying about things we can't change? I used to be the queen of that. If the weather ruined a picnic, I'd stew about it all day. If my kids didn't call when I thought they should, I'd imagine every worst-case scenario. It was exhausting. Then one day, I was talking to my friend Margaret, she's 82 now, sharp as a tack, and she said something I'll never forget. She told me, "Honey, life's too short to carry a load that's not yours to lift." She'd learned that the hard way, back when her husband got sick years ago. She couldn't fix him, couldn't stop time, but she could choose how she faced it. So she let go of the what-ifs and focused on what she could do, be there, love him, make him laugh. And you know what? She said it didn't just help him, it saved her too. That stuck with me. Letting go of what you can't control isn't giving up, it's freeing yourself up for what you can do. Think about it. Maybe your knees aren't what they used to be, or the world's moving faster than you'd like. You can't turn back the clock, but you can decide how you'll spend today. Maybe it's picking up the phone to call a friend instead of waiting for them to call you. Or maybe it's saying no to that extra helping of guilt about something long past. Margaret's trick was simple. When she caught herself worrying, she'd ask, "Can I fix this?" If the answer was no, she'd take a deep breath and move on. I've tried it myself, and let me tell you, it's like unloading a heavy backpack you didn't even know you were carrying. Next time you're fretting over something, big or small, give it a shot. You might be surprised how light you feel. Now, that lesson ties right into another one I've heard from so many folks our age, and it's all about where we find our happiness. My neighbor Tom, he's 75, told me a story once that really got me thinking. Back in his 50s, he was all about the big wins, promotions, fancy vacations, you name it. But after he retired, he realized those things didn't stick with him the way he thought they would. What did? The little moments. Like the time he spent an afternoon teaching his granddaughter how to fish, even though they didn't catch a thing. Or the mornings he sits on his porch with a cup of tea, just listening to the birds. He said to me, "At this age, I've learned joy isn't in the big stuff, it's in the small stuff you actually notice." I love that, don't you? It's so easy to overlook those everyday things when you're younger, chasing after the next milestone. But now, we've got the time, and the perspective, to see them. For Tom, it's fishing or a quiet porch moment. For me, it's baking cookies with my grandson, even if half the dough ends up on the floor. It's not about the cookies, it's about the giggles. And here's the thing, you don't have to wait for those moments to find you. You can make them happen. Sit down with a photo album and really look at those old pictures. Take a walk and feel the sun on your face. Call up someone you haven't talked to in a while just to say hi. Those little joys add up, and they're worth more than gold. Tom's right, happiness isn't out there in some big, shiny package. It's right here, in the stuff we've learned to pay attention to. So, we've talked about letting go of what we can't control and finding joy in the small stuff. Those are lessons that can change how you see every single day. But there's another one that's just as powerful, especially when you start thinking about what's still ahead. It's all about realizing it's never too late to try something new, and I can't wait to tell you about my cousin Edna and what she did at 68 that turned her whole world upside down, in the best way possible. So, there I was, thinking about Tom and his porch moments, when my cousin Edna popped into my mind. She's a firecracker, that one, and her story is proof that age is just a number when it comes to shaking things up. At 68, Edna decided she'd had enough of sitting still. She'd spent years raising kids, working a steady job, and keeping the house running like clockwork. But after her husband passed, she found herself rattling around in a quiet home, wondering what was next. Most folks might have settled into that quiet, maybe picked up knitting or joined a book club. Not Edna. She told me one day over tea, "I've got years left, and I'm not wasting them waiting for something to happen." So, she signed up for a painting class at the community center. Never held a brush in her life, mind you, but she figured, why not? At first, she was terrible, her words, not mine. She'd come home with these lopsided landscapes and laugh about how the trees looked like they were melting. But she kept at it. Week after week, she'd show up, paint splattered on her apron, grinning like a kid. And something amazing happened. She got good, really good. A couple of years later, she had her first little art show at the library, and people actually bought her work. But here's the real kicker, it wasn't about the paintings. It was about how alive she felt. She'd tell me, "I didn't know I had this in me until I tried." That's the lesson she passed on, it's never too late to start something new. You don't have to be great at it right away, or even ever. It's about the doing, the spark it lights inside you. I think about Edna a lot when I'm tempted to say, "Oh, I'm too old for that." Because honestly, how many times have we talked ourselves out of something just because the calendar says we've got a few extra candles on the cake? Maybe it's not painting for you. Maybe it's learning to play the guitar, or trying out a dance class, or even writing down those stories you've been telling at family dinners for years. Edna's trick was simple, she picked something that scared her a little, something that made her curious, and she gave it a go. No pressure, no big expectations, just a willingness to see what happened. And if she could do that at 68, what's stopping us? Next time you catch yourself thinking, "I wish I'd tried that," maybe take a page from Edna's book. Dip your toe in. You might just surprise yourself. That idea of starting fresh flows right into something else I've heard from so many folks our age, and it's a lesson that's taken me a while to really wrap my head around. It's about how we talk to ourselves. Yep, that little voice in your head that's been with you through thick and thin. My old friend Bill, he's 79 now, shared this one with me over a game of checkers last summer. Bill's had his share of ups and downs, lost a business in his 50s, bounced back, then dealt with some health scares later on. But he's still the most upbeat guy I know. I asked him once, "How do you stay so positive?" He leaned back, gave me that sly grin of his, and said, "I decided a long time ago to be my own best friend." Now, that might sound a little funny at first, but hear me out. Bill told me he used to beat himself up over every mistake. If he forgot a name, he'd call himself old and useless. If he couldn't fix something around the house, he'd mutter about being past his prime. Sound familiar? I know I've done it too. But one day, after a particularly rough stretch, he caught himself in the mirror and thought, would I talk to my buddy Jim like this? Of course not. So he started changing the script. Instead of, "I'm too old," he'd say, "I've earned a break, and I'll figure it out." Instead of, "I messed up," he'd tell himself, "I tried, and that's what counts." It wasn't overnight, but little by little, that kinder voice took over. And Bill swears it's why he wakes up smiling most days. I've been trying it myself, and I'll tell you, it's a game changer. We've spent decades being tough on ourselves, haven't we? Raising families, paying bills, keeping it all together, there wasn't much room for softness. But now, we've got a chance to ease up. Next time that harsh little voice pipes up, maybe you spill the coffee or forget where you parked the car, try talking to yourself like you would a dear friend. "It's okay, you've got this," or "no big deal," happens to everyone. It feels strange at first, but stick with it. Bill's onto something here. Being your own best friend doesn't just lift your spirits, it gives you the strength to keep going, no matter what's around the corner. Speaking of what's around the corner, there's one more lesson I've heard that ties all this together, and it's about how we leave our mark, not just on the world, but on the people we love. It's a big one, and it's got me thinking about my own grandkids and what they'll carry with them long after I'm gone. So, there I was, mulling over Bill's words about being your own best friend, and it got me thinking about how we pass things on, not just advice, but the kind of legacy that sticks with people. That's when my mind drifted to my friend Clara. She's 85, with a laugh that fills a room and a knack for making you feel like you're the only person in the world when she's talking to you. Clara's got a big family, 5 kids, a dozen grandkids, and a handful of great-grandkids, and she's always been the glue that holds them together. But a while back, she told me something that really hit home. We were sitting on her porch swing, watching the sunset, and she said, "You know, I used to think leaving a legacy meant big things, money, property, a name in lights. But now I think it's about the stories they'll tell about me when I'm gone." Clara's lesson is the last one I want to share with you, and it's a beauty. The way we live, the way we love, that's what we leave behind. She started doing something a few years ago that I think is just brilliant. She'd sit down with her grandkids, one by one, and tell them stories, not fairy tales, but real ones. Like the time she and her husband got lost on a road trip and ended up dancing in a diner parking lot because they didn't have a map but found a jukebox instead. Or how she learned to make her famous peach cobbler by trial and error, burning half a dozen before she got it right. She didn't just tell these stories to pass the time, she wanted them to know who she was, what she valued, laughter, resilience, showing up for each other. And now, those kids tell those stories too, like little pieces of Clara they carry around. I love that idea, don't you? It's not about having a fortune to hand down or a plaque with your name on it. It's about the moments you share, the lessons you live out loud. I've started doing it with my own grandkids, nothing fancy, just sitting at the kitchen table with a plate of cookies, telling them about the time I accidentally dyed my hair green in the 70s or how their grandpa and I built a treehouse with no instructions and a lot of stubbornness. They giggle, they ask questions, and I can see it sinking in. It's not just the story, it's the feeling behind it, that life's messy and wonderful, and we figure it out as we go. Clara's right, those are the things that stick, the things they'll pass on someday too. Now, as I think about all these lessons, letting go of what we can't control, finding joy in the small stuff, starting something new, being kind to ourselves, and leaving a legacy through our stories, it strikes me how they all weave together. They're not separate little rules to follow, they're threads in this big, beautiful tapestry we've been stitching our whole lives. And the best part? We're still adding to it, every single day. Whether it's picking up a paintbrush like Edna, or telling yourself it's okay to spill the coffee like Bill, or sharing a memory with someone you love like Clara, you're building something real, something lasting. I don't know about you, but that makes me feel pretty darn good about where we are right now. We've got so much to give, and it doesn't take grand gestures, just the willingness to keep showing up as ourselves. So, I'd love to hear from you. What's a lesson you've learned that you'd pass on? Maybe it's something big that changed your life, or a little moment that still makes you smile. Drop it in the comments. I read every one, and I bet there's someone out there who'd love to hear it too. And if this video spoke to you, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. There's more where this came from, because we've got plenty of stories left to tell. Here's to living our best lives, at any age. Cheers to that.